Streaming cyberspace into your place from Lanier National Speedway. It's the Virtual Grip Network's live as it happens sixth round coverage of the Bootleg Racing League's late model Invitational Series. It's season 32. Let's talk about the equator, that imaginary line that separates the planet's north and south hemispheres. Tonight's round six is this series' version of the equator, separating the season's first five races from the season's last five races. And from this dead center vantage point, one thing is obvious: James Lowe is very good. Having won four of the first five events, Lowe holds on this season's championship. Well, which would be his second, is very tight, but it's not ironclad. Look up the turn, keeping them honest in your Funkin' Wagnall, and you'll see a picture of Chris Davis. Despite Lowe's dominance, Davis is only 10 markers back. One failure from Lowe coupled with a Davis success, and things become even in a blink. So pull the lever on the lazy boy and settle in for the incitement that is the simulated short track race in action that's about to stream your way. From the state Gladys Knight left on the midnight train to a warm Georgian, hello and welcome on this Saturday night, November 8th, 2025. I am pleased to welcome to the VGN family, known as the Adelaide Blade for the way he can cut through the field, none other than Ed Foster. Ed will be joining yours truly, Bill Soups on, high up in the VGN press box to bring you our words eye view. The boss man, Lowell Jewell, turning the knobs and pushing the sliders. All right, Ed, Lanier is the kind of place I don't do much oval racing, but when you're new to the platform here on iRacing, you get to learn about Lanier real quick. Everybody knows this place, but for the guys that aren't iRacers, what do you think about this place?
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, thank you for the warm welcome. Great to be here. Great to have the opportunity to lend my thoughts a little bit, I guess, to this great racing series that we're latest round of which we're going to see tonight, of course. Here at Lanier, very traditional sort of US short track. I guess it's one of the it's if you have something in your mind when you think of American short track racing, you're going to be picturing something very, very similar to Lanier. Definitely going to see some guys as the race runs on. You know that everyone's going to be trying to manage their tyres and keep them fresh. And one thing that you may see, you've got that nice little bit of apron down there, so you've got the bank section of track, a little bit of flat apron there on the bottom, so you might see some guys sort of dropping their inside tyres down onto that apron in an attempt to help their cars get a little bit rotated. But yeah, certainly it's going to be a bit of a multi-groove battle here, I think, as well. Starting lane is going to be crucial for these guys. Expect to see a few tactics coming into play there. But I think no matter where you start, you've got an opportunity to make something work out for you. So we'll see what the various approaches are amongst the drivers in that regard as well.
Well, that's a wonderful analysis. Well done on your very first broadcast here on VGN. Hey, we got about a minute worth of practice time. That's enough time to bring up the points. Not a whole lot to show you here at this halfway point. You see that James Lowe has won four. And now there's Chris Davis. Davis only 10 markers back. But as I scanned through the field right before we went live, I had as of yet Davis had not shown up. As I quickly looked through there with my 65-year-old eyes, I do not see his name. So that's not good news as far as a championship chase. Probably good news for the rest of the field, though. You see the other guys that make up your top 10. Surprised to see Adam Shane so far up. Not usual to see him up there. Good chance for him. He can get a good finish tonight. Now, with about 15 seconds left to practice, you're going to say, Soup, don't worry, you got plenty of time because qualifying's coming up. Well, if you're a veteran of watching the Bootleg Racing League events, you know there is no qualifying. The grid is set by inverting the baker's dozen from the top baker's dozen from the previous event. They finished 13th. You'll be starting on the pole. So that shakes things up a little bit. And Blade, we were talking a little bit before we went live that because they invert the field, it makes these broadcasts watchable. Otherwise, if you put James Lowe up front, that's a recipe for wire to wire.
Yeah, yeah, it's certainly a nice little quirk we've got here in this series to stop one guy going out there and stinking up the show. At least make him do a little bit of passing, and of course, if he does wind up a little bit of an issue, then it opens up for everybody else. I mean, Ruben Altice, I think, was actually fastest in practice anyway, and he's starting off the pole, so
Hey,
I
hey,
think that he's going to take some catching.
sometimes the racing gods are fickle that way, and they'll go ahead and take your rules package and say, here's what I think of your rules package. I'm going to put the fastest guy on the pole. All right. And what we're going to do is go through the field here. We're going to take it a row at a time. I'll take the first row. You get the second row. Starting on pole is Ruben Altice. He's going to be inside of the number 9 of Alan Wanamaker. Who's in row 2?
Row 2, we got Mike Holloway and double deuce, Bruce Pearson.
Couple of veterans filling up row 3, Todd Liston and Chris Hazlip.
And we got Tom Hilbert and Trey Bloom starting on row 4.
Okay, the bad news for James Lowe is he's way back in 9th spot. The good news, he's on the inside line. That's probably a good thing. Outside of him is the man who sits 3rd in points. That's Adam Shane.
And on row 6, we've got John Wilson, Canadian Goose, and Steve Hilbert.
Who's in the Baker's dozen spot, you ask? Well, it's Cucumber Kurt Smith. He's going to be flanked by our only rookie, Kyle Feemster.
And Daryl Weininger and Brennan Myers in the 11 makes up your next row.
He doesn't race very often, but it's great to see him here. Marino Valente. Good driver. Better poker player. All right, the parade lap is done. We are so glad you are with us. Dead center in the middle of this 11 race season. 5 happened before, 5 coming after. Ruben Altice, the quiet man. Starting on pole. Inside line, the place to be, you think, Ed?
Oh, I think certainly off the start, you definitely want to be down there. We'll see how the track evolves as it goes on. But while everyone's getting up to speed, that launch off the start, definitely the bottom.
Oh, my goodness. Gather at the chicken steak, cover around the cows. The horses are out of the barn. Ruben Altice leads the stampede down into the first corner. Let's see how that outside line fares. On the inside, that's Mike Holloway. He's got Wanamaker fighting for all he's worth. Wanamaker gets out. Holloway gets very loose, loses all the momentum, goes off to the inside, and he's going to go all the way to the back. He was in second position. He's going to be at the back of the field. That means in second and third now is going to be Wanamaker and Pearson.
Absolute shocker there for Holloway. He's just managed to gas it up a little bit too hard on those cold tyres, and just ended up sinking to the bottom, letting everybody go. Probably good from a safety perspective, but certainly from the perspective of his race, it's not going to be ideal for him. But we'll see what he can do from the back.
And there you see Holloway getting loose, going to the inside. There is a lucky dog. He stays on the lead lap, so he'll be able to salvage. Still plenty of time to go. You know, these are regular race rules if you're a fan of BRL. No tire changes. You can come in for a pit stop. You can get repair. Can't be a fast repair. And you have to finish on the same tires that you start the race with.
Yeah, it certainly does make it an interesting challenge to take that tactic of tyre changes out of it. It means that everything that you do from lap 1, turn 1, all the way through the race, it matters. Everything matters. Every line that you take, every braking point has a payoff down the line. And just have a look at number 22 there, Bruce Pearson. He's already started to use that apron. He's obviously feeling as though he needs to a little bit of assistance to get that car turned, and he's already driving it right down on the apron. You see him, he didn't do it that time round. Actually saw Todd Liston do it that time round. There's a few of these guys who are just putting their left side tyres over onto that apron, just aiming for just to get that little bit of extra rotation. And bad news for everybody, James Lowe already up to P5.
Yeah, he's coming. Don't be surprised if Pearson falls through the field. He has a reputation of not wanting to burn his stuff up early. He likes it at the end. And of course, it all depends on what kind of race you have, whether you have a go green all the way, or if you have one that is full of yellow flags that kind of you can pick up all the distance that you lose if you're saving stuff. You never know what's going to happen at a BRL event. Well, with the exception of James Lowe being very competitive. My partner says he's up to 5th already. Next on his hit list is the 87.
Yeah, certainly lurking in there. I was just going to say, was lurking in there behind Todd Liston. But you know, that's one of the things that you can do when you're in a scenario where you may well consider yourself the fastest car, is you can actually take a little bit of time. You don't have to panic. You don't have to rush to the front straight away, because you believe that you've got the time to do it, and you believe that when the chips are down, you will be able to get those moves done. So at the moment, that's a double advantage, isn't it? That you've got the pace, and as a result, you can either choose to use that pace all at once, or you can sit there and just cruise and build a little bit of a tyre advantage while everybody in front of you is sort of going flat out. Still stay with them anyway, and then you've got something to fight with later on. It looks as though Lowe just being very, very patient back there in that pack at the moment. LT's still leading, of course. He's got the benefit there of that clean air. He's sitting around about, just a couple of car lengths there ahead of Wanamaker. And then we've got sort of he's a bit of a cork in a bottle at the moment, with Pearson up behind him, Liston, Lowe, Hilbert, and the rest of them all in a big train there. So not too many people willing to show their hand just yet. A lot of guys sort of just managing. They're trying to set themselves up for late in the race at the moment. So they're not going to go burning up everything they have, because, as we mentioned, they've got to carry that all the way to the finish.
And it's interesting. You'll see a different racing dynamic from Lowe, depending on if he's racing in an even or an odd spot right now. He's sitting in 5th position. I don't know if he's all that excited to get to the inside of Liston right now, because then that puts him on an even number, puts him on the outside if there's a caution flag. If he does get around Liston, look for him then to make quick work of Pearson as well. He will not want to race in 4th.
No, iRacing definitely needs a choose rule. I think that would chase things up massively and certainly lead to a lot more aggression, because everybody gets to choose what lane they start in then. But at the moment, you're kind of welded to what iRacing tells you to do: odd numbers to the inside, even numbers to the outside, and you don't really get that option. So there isn't an advantage in if you're expecting cautions to come, as you could probably say we're going to maybe at least see a couple, that there can be an advantage to be starting in an even numbered position. Odd number position, I apologise. Just having a look a little bit further in the pack now. Actually, I'll cut back to that, because Todd Liston just having a look underneath Bruce Pearson. He's obviously keen to get out of his even numbered position. He's got some overlap there. 22 has to sit there on the outside. He can't cut down to where he wants to be. He's trying to use the drive off the turn as best as he can. And you just see 22, he's getting the power down nice and early, building that momentum and run off the top of the corner. And that's the only thing that you can do when there's a car beneath you. But Liston is gradually getting that move done. And Lowe is right there to stick his nose in as well if he chooses to.
If we get a caution, and I'm surprised, look how hard Pearson is fighting here. He'll give up a little bit of that inside line to save his tires. And Liston finally got under him. And now James Lowe is going to go ahead and make hay while the sun is shining there. Pearson putting up a good show, though, Ed.
Yeah, he's sticking out there, but, he hasn't really got an option at the moment. You don't really want to stick out there too wide if you can avoid it. If there was room to slot in behind Liston, I can almost guarantee that he'd be doing that. But the problem is there isn't room. There's a 99 there. There's a 25 there. There's no gap for him to back out of it. As they catch Holloway, he's going a lap down. But there's just nowhere for him to slot into. If he can't hold off Liston, and Liston gets a little bit of a wobble there, if he can't hold Liston off, he's going to get freight trained all the way back to around about 10th place, which is why he's fighting so hard at the minute.
Not sure what's up with Holloway. He didn't hit anything, and he's surprisingly off the pace. Maybe he just didn't want to be an obstacle. They have the lucky dog, so I guess it really doesn't matter if he's the first car one lap down or at the very back of the pack. We're going to stay on this battle till they get it sorted out. Pearson making Liston work. Do you think one of them is using up more tire equity right now? Is Liston stuck on the inside? Is that hurting him more?
They both are. They're both using up tyre, because neither one of them have got the full width of the track to work with. And I'm a little bit surprised. Well, you actually just see. I was about to say I was a little bit surprised to see that Lowe wasn't sort of maximising that running right out to the wall, but he did on that occasion. And just have a look at the difference. These guys have only both got half a track to work with. And when you're running side by side with a guy, you do want to kind of run them out of track a little bit and make sure that they can't use the full width of the track. You're trying to pinch them. You're trying to inconvenience and put them off. And Lowe, meanwhile, sat behind, is making sure to use the full width of the track, gentle on his tyres as he can possibly be, because this is all going to turn into advantage for him later on down the track when these two finally get this sorted out.
Looks like Pearson's going to fend off the attack. I think that's a victory that's going to cost him later on. That certainly couldn't have helped his tire wear. And that's not the modus operandi for the 22. He does not like to work him that hard. Now, Lowe makes a run at Liston. He loses momentum. The Canadian Goose, John Wilson, got into the back of the 99, gave him a little bit, hello.
Yeah, he did just lose a little bit of momentum there. I think he was trying to capitalise on the fact that he knew that Todd Liston's tyres were going to be fairly hot after doing all of that. And he was just going to try and make a little bit of a move at that point, but didn't come off for him. But yeah, you're just talking. Yeah, it's definitely not how Bruce Pearson normally operates. But at the same time, he didn't have a lot of a choice.
Yeah.
There was nowhere for him to slot into, so he had no choice but to fight that. So his big job now is going to be cooling those tyres off and just trying to make sure that he's got something to fight with a little bit later on. I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to Brendan Myers as well. Started all the way back in the 16th spot, and he's all the way up to P8. So he's been making some moves there. We can actually see him at the moment just getting underneath the what do we call it? The consecutive start record holder, Kurt Smith in the 6.
Hey, didn't know that. That's a good stat. Hey, welcome to the broadcast. You know, you called it. You mentioned Brendan Myers, and he must be watching the broadcast because as soon as you mentioned his name, he got under Cucumber Kurt Smith. He's bringing along with him the 75 of Adam Shane. Oh, sorry, the 79, and now stuck on the outside is Smith. Here's a driver we don't get to talk a whole lot about, the number 15 of Daryl Cheese and Weinecker. Good to see him with us here.
Yeah, always great to see him out there. One of those guys who, no matter where he's running in the pack, always really, really good to race with. Had the opportunity to race with him a few times, and it looks like he's having a solid night out there as well. Running right in the mid-pack, running in P10 at the moment.
Let's go to fourth position. Lowe got to the inside of Liston. I think this is going to go a little easier for Lowe than it did for Liston when Liston was on the inside. Look at Liston continue to fight, though. The Canadian Goose, John Wilson, back there looking to which supermarket checker he'd like to go through. He's decided to get into the lane that has James Lowe because he's paying with cash, and it's going to go quickly, and Liston now drops 2 spots. The Canadian Goose, Wilson, moving up into what would be 5th spot now.
Yeah, you see the difference there, don't you? Liston at least having the opportunity, not having to fight that hard. There wasn't that massive freight train there where he had nowhere to slot in. He knew that there was a spot behind the 75 that he could slot into. He's taken that spot and he's decided to live to fight another day there. So probably after running all those laps side by side, did not want to do it all over again. So yeah, smart option there to just slot into that hole and see what he can do a little bit later on. Just having a look a little bit further up the field now as well, it looks as though Bruce Pearson's starting to put a little bit of pressure on a second place man, Alan Wanamaker.
Yeah, I don't know. Pearson now, the number 99, showing big in his rearview mirror back there. Wanamaker has been running in second. All this going on behind the quiet man. Ruben Altice has been out in front the whole time. You know, Blade, I've talked to a lot of drivers when they race out front, and they say it's almost harder to save stuff when you're racing out there because you don't have anyone to guide what you're doing on. Ruben seems to be just running his race right now. He has it all his own way.
Yeah, he's got the benefit of clean air, clean, cool air on the front of that car, so, you know, the tyres are going to be behaving as well as they can possibly behave. And I think he's just looking to not pull out too far, because if you use all your rubber up, all your stuff up, trying to pull as far a gap as you can, and then the caution comes out, which we're going to expect to see at some point, then, you know, all that hard work's gone and you've used up a bunch of tyres. So he doesn't want to pull out too far. He's probably quite happy just keeping the rest of those guys at arm's length.
One of the interesting dynamics of the BRL race, and we talked about it a lot, is the inverted grid, no qualifying, so you really don't know what you got up there. And this really applies to the guy running in second right now, Alan Wanamaker. He's been in second the whole time, but his practice times was way down the chart. He could be doing all he can right now just to hang on to second. And boy, I'll tell you, Bruce Pearson is on his tail, and I think if Pearson gets underneath him, it's freight train time.
Yeah, the body language of that car, he doesn't look as though, you know, he's pushing overly hard. He does look as though he's managing it just a little bit. But at the same time, you know, Wanamaker's got quite a smooth style anyway. He's not the type of guy who's often got, you know, the back end of the car hanging out off the turn or anything like that. He's a very smooth, sort of understated style that he's got. So he kind of disguises a little bit a lot of the time how hard he's actually pushing. You assume that he's putting in, you know, at least a fair amount of effort, because I'd say he's considering that Pearson's getting uncomfortably close at the moment, and he's had a couple of nibbles at him running into the turn as well. And in fact, he just gives him a little shot there. Hey, I'm here. I'm going to be coming through soon if you don't get a wriggle on. So, yeah, with that big queue behind him as well, although a bit of a gap has opened up, there's a bit of side-by-side going on further back. But I think Wanamaker, if he's got the speed, we're just ticking over. We've just ticked over halfway in this race now. I think that if he's got any pace, we're going to see him use it. He has to. It's getting towards go time now.
And the guy my partner identified, the number of 11 is coming. That is Brendan Myers. He is up, let me count now, 10 spots. He's our big mover. He's going to bring with him Shane. Don't know how much he's using to get there, but he is coming. And you know, I love working with a guy who's a driver out there, because when I was talking about Wanamaker, I wasn't sure if he was struggling to stay up there, or my partner says maybe he's just saving his stuff, and you know, maybe that might be the case. Doesn't matter how hard he runs, he's in second right now, and if he can do that going slow, that's probably great.
Yeah, Pearson's going to have to at some point. Like, if Wanamaker's got any more speed than he's showing, he's got to use it in a minute. You know, it's really we're over halfway through the race, and it's sort of putting Pearson in a bit of a difficult position as well, because he's sort of driving into the corner quite hard. You know, he's got a bit of a mid-corner speed advantage over the 9 as well, but he's got to get going because Lowe's behind him as well, and he knows that if he makes one misstep, that 99 is going to put the nose up the inside, and he's going to be the one to get freight trained for the back. So Pearson at the moment, you can see him, he is absolutely kicking that throttle through the firewall coming off the turns at the moment, trying to generate a little bit of a run there on the 9. The one thing that I would say is in trying to look past him, he's sort of he's not running it all the way out to the wall. He wants to sort of get into Wanamaker's mirrors a little bit, and I think that's actually hurting his drive off, because he's just turning a little bit tight on the way off the turn, as he proves me wrong by running right out to the wall, that kind of course. But yeah, he's got to start to get impatient soon, because there's a big pack behind, and yeah, look, he's just run up the track a little bit, almost made the space there for Lowe. So a lot of pressure coming on Pearson now. He's almost in the decision stage where he's going to have to go, look, I've got to make this move. I've got to get my nose under there, because if I don't, I'm going to pay for it. So yeah, I'd say we're going to see. We're going to see a bit of a charge coming up very, very shortly. He's already rattled the bumper of the 9 once, and I'd say we're going to see it again.
Wilson goes around, but there's no caution. Oh, there is a caution. There is no caution. There is a caution. Ha! Can't make up my mind here. The 75 got turned a bit. I thought it was going to be fine. Now, this is because Shane was coming. While we were riding on the tail, looking out the back from Wanamaker in second, you saw the battle going on behind between Shane and Myers, who were both coming through the field. Adam Shane got the best of that. Then they get together. Wilson gets turned a little bit. And a lot of times I've seen iRacing, I guess he got perpendicular enough. A lot of times I've seen the auto race stewards here on iRacing let those things go.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? I mean, you know, looking at it with the benefit of glorious slow motion replay, where everybody has, you know, everybody can armchair quarterback, you would definitely say that, you know, Shane was there. He had his nose up the inside. So, yeah, a little bit of you don't always recognise precisely where the other guy is. Spotter calls can be late, all those types of things. And, yeah, unfortunately, 2 into 1 doesn't go. Led to a little bit of a slide, but it looks as though everyone's going to carry on. It actually looks as though the 75's been waved back past the 79 and the 11. I'm just taking a look at the front of the 11 here as well, because he got a little piece of that. Just want to make sure that there isn't too much in the way of damage on the front of the 11. It's looking, no, there is actually a little bit of damage on the right front of that 11 car. So we can see that it's made such good progress. Brennan's been flying through the field so far. That's going to hurt him though. You know, every little bit sort of hurts. So that's going to be rough.
So they double up. Wanamaker now pushed to the outside. This is Pearson's chance. They go green. The 22's not going to let this opportunity to go by. Wanamaker in the 9 has a hard time getting going. Pearson gets it done. Wilson, who got that great seating there from the race stores, now gets underneath. He turns Wanamaker. He straightens him out. And now Shane gets into the back of Wanamaker, and we're going to get a caution this time? Yeah, no.
No caution, believe it or not, for that. That's insane. That is absolutely. Oh, now we get the yellow.
There
now we
it
get
comes.
the yellow. So difficult for in that scenario because we were just talking about the situation that Pearson found himself in. Not Pearson, my apologies.
Yeah.
John Wilson found himself in, and that was almost the complete reverse, where he's got his nose underneath Wanamaker. Perhaps Wanamaker hasn't completely understood how far up he was, and another case of two in the one doesn't go, and this time it was the 9 that went spinning around. But unfortunately, it looks like the 9 has not got away with it in the same manner as the 75 did earlier on. So we're sort of left with Altice continues to lead. Pearson made his way up to second before all that happened. And then after the collision between Wilson's gone from almost getting wrecked to sitting there in a very handy P3.
Inside line, sitting on an odd number inside of row 2. Let's see if the director can find the Canadian Goose, John Wilson, and the number 75. Let's talk to him. Sometimes things are going his way. I'll take the first question, give the second one to you, Ed. Canadian Goose, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Soup.
Oh, my goodness. Things go from very bad to very good. You got turned, but they straighten you out, and then iRacing gives you your spots back, and then you get up into third.
Yeah, I'll take whatever they're willing to give me.
Ed?
Yeah, mate, just probably the most exciting exchange of the race being first of all, they say sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball, but I don't think I've seen anybody be the ball and then the bat quite so quickly in such quick succession.
Yeah, it's a tough battle out here.
All right, you're on the inside line. They're double up. Go get them.
Thank you, sir.
Gotta love the racing here at Lanier. The cautions are fast. We can barely get in an interview, and they start doubling up. Okay, the quiet man, Ruben Altice, out in front. This is Wilson's chance. He goes to the inside. The man who has been charging, he's thinking about going 3 wide. That's Myers in that petty blue number 11. That doesn't happen. He's stuck on the outside. Lowe is pinned. He's got nowhere to go. He's stuck behind Wilson to the inside of Myers. Wilson continues to fight. Pearson, who's been on the outside before and fought back, is trying to do it a second time.
Yeah, it's so difficult in a position where you are right now. If you're the 99 or the 11, you've just got nowhere to go. You're entirely at the mercy of what the guy in front of you manages to do. And you could get little checkups. Sometimes the inside row stacks up. Sometimes the outside row stacks up. And in the end, they all kind of even out. But you see the bottom row stacks up again. And because they keep stacking up, that lets everybody else that there's no gaps forming behind, which makes things even more desperate for those two, the 22 and the 11 up top, because they can't filter in anywhere. They can't drop down into any gaps because everybody's sort of stacking up. Those guys behind are able to run wherever they want. These guys are stuck running side by side. That's costing them track area. It's costing them speed. And they just, it's just a cork in a bottle at the moment. These guys have got to sort themselves out. You can see the 11 giving the 22 a big old hurry up. I can go, yeah. Get on with it, mate. But he just can't clear the 75. And meanwhile, Lowe at the bottom is going, come on, Goose, get going, bro. I can do something with this. But yeah, you're just at their mercy. You can't go through them.
What I have learned from interviewing J.R. Shepard, who is he's short track Baltimore. Wilson gets loose, gets into Pearson. They keep it going. Pearson's going to lose momentum. That's going to give Wilson the spot. That's not going to help Lowe, though. He's still stuck in there. Pearson now is going to try to make it work on the outside. Lowe is going to try to get to the inside of Wilson. Wilson needs to cover that inside line. What J.R. Shepard has taught me is sometimes the inside line is the fastest line unless you're racing side by side. Lowe gets into him. Look at Adam Shane drive the car in. Took it in deeper than Confucius in a submarine. Gets to the inside now. He loses momentum. Cucumber Kurt Smith is here. Oh, what great racing.
Oh, that is short track and its absolute best. It's not over there. 3 wide, 15 on the bottom. Getting up the inside of the 11 there. The 11 got absolutely, I won't use the word, but yeah, he did not get the best of all of that. And now he's left still in a defensive position there on the outside, trying to beat the 15. He might get the drive off here and be able to get down in front of him. He's not confident enough to do it. I think he was just about clear there, but he did not get the best of that at all. He's plummeted a few spots. We should actually take a look because Lowe going to work on the Canadian Goose. Wilson not quite there yet. And of course, he's going to have Shane breathing down his neck very, very soon. So he's going to want to get this done sooner rather than later. We've only got a handful of laps to go, and nobody yet has been able to touch the number 70 of Ruben Altice either. So if someone's going to do it, they've got to sort themselves up and get out there and have a go at him because he's had it all his own way.
Talk about all his own way. He was fast in practice. He's had to race nobody. He's been out in front the whole time. We're talking about Ruben Altice. This is really set up for him. Meanwhile, James Lowe, maybe the most talented of all the drivers, sitting in third right now. The John Wilson, who is doing his very best, sacrificing speed, I think, Blade, so that he can keep the inside line. He does not want Lowe to get underneath him. Oh, no, but I think Lowe gets a good drive off of 2, and now he gets his nose down in there.
Yeah, Wilson, he was trying. He was really focusing on those exits, running tight to the bottom, doing everything he had to do. But unfortunately, Lowe just managed to set that up beautifully, get on the power a little bit earlier than him, did not break traction. And now Goose's big job is to try and find a spot to slot into. If he stays out there, he's just going to get, we've been talking about it all night, he's going to get freight trained by all those cars on the inside. Everybody who's back there sees him a little bit high. They smell blood in the water. They're like, me too, me too, me too. And everybody takes a little bit of piece of the action and wants to get that move done, and just about everyone has.
Tip of the hat to Kurt Smith. This is what he does. He is so inconspicuous. Talk about racing under the radar. Doesn't cause trouble. Then by the end of the race, somehow you see him racing up there, certainly in the top 5 and now challenging for a podium position. Meanwhile, other drivers like Adam Shane and Brendan Myers have been very obvious as they work their way through the field. Myers still incredibly quick in the 11. He can't get underneath Smith. He's going to try it to the top side. Smith is going to be down low. You know, Lanier's putting on a pretty good show.
Absolutely. I mean, we've come to this now. Yeah, 6 ended up, you're just using the 25 as a pick there a little bit, I think. Keeping Myers behind. There's been a great battle between the two. I think Myers might have a little bit of extra pace, but hey, track position is track position. And Kurt Smith hanging on to it at the moment. And yeah, you don't manage to make the most consecutive starts in this series history without knowing what you're about and staying out of trouble. So yeah, certainly the 6 is going to prove a very hard customer to get around, I think. And while we look at that, we've been looking a little bit further back. James Lowe in the 99, he has cleared everybody he needs to clear. John Wilson has actually fallen back, so we may have missed something there, but Lowe right up behind Altice now. And for the first time tonight, with a handful of laps to go, Altice actually having a look in his mirrors.
With apologies to the rest of the field, and I'm telling you, there is action back there. We're going to focus our attention up front on the top 2. Lowe gets a good drive off of 2. He has momentum. Ruben Altice has been out front. He's saving his stuff. Altice is a veteran. They come across. They'll be working lap number 98 right now. Meanwhile, the racing in the back is so exciting. Myers is side by side with Kurt Smith. That's a show in itself, but we can't lose what's happening right now. We stay on this steady cam, and you can see them all go by you. Meanwhile, the 99 continues. He tries to get a tight drive off of 4. Working on Altice. Altice knows exactly what's going on. They are on lap number 99. 6 corners to go. Altice goes through 3 and 4, guarding the inside, covering it like wall-to-wall carpet across the start-finish line. 4 laps to go for the quiet man. Lap cars to the top side. They're not going to be an issue. Good drive for Lowe off of 2. This is his final 2 corners. I don't think he's going to have enough. It was wire to wire for Ruben Altice. Lowe, your point leader, will get 2nd and top 3. Kurt Smith does what Kurt Smith does. Quietly finds himself a podium position. Woo! Good race.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Well done, Ruben Altice. You didn't have to do much in the first part of the race, but that can be a lot harder when everything's easy and then suddenly it gets really, really difficult right there at the end and you suddenly have to switch it on. You've got to switch on all your skills, all your knowledge, all your racing experience. You've got to switch that on just for the last handful of laps, and he managed to soak up the pressure from probably the best in the biz here right now. So he manages to do that, rightly parks that number 70 right up there on that checkered flag spot. Absolutely fantastic racing from everybody there. Great to see Kurt Smith drive his way from 13th all the way up to 3rd. John Wilson manages to come home with the 4th place. Weininger up there in the top 5 as well. So we've got some really big movers in the pack as well.
The racing is over, but you know the broadcast is not. We'll take a short break. We'll come back, run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. You're watching the Virtual Get Network. Welcome back to Lanier National Speedway and the Virtual Grip Network's live as it happens coverage of the Bootleg Racing League Slate Model Invitational Series 32nd season. And it was round number 6 tonight, and the results are in. Let's give them to you now. I'll take the top 10, leave the rest of the field from my partner. Ruben Ortiz is your winner, started on the pole. He goes wire to wire, but that's really not the story of the race. The story of the race is what happened behind him. James Lowe goes from 9th to 2nd. Kurt Smith, a silent 13th to 3rd, shows up at the very end. John Wilson had an eventful night, 11th to 4th. He's got to be happy with 4th, faded a little bit at the end. Daryl Weinecker gets a top 5. He's going to be happy with that. Mike Holloway, am I looking at this correct? In 6th position, even after he had that early spin. What a good recovery from the 88 with Brendan Myers and Bruce Pearson, who put on quite a show in 7th and 8th. 9th to Trey Bloom, who probably didn't get the screen time he deserved. Chris Hayslip rounding at your top 10. Partner?
Yeah, just having a look down through the further reaches of the field, we've got Todd Liston. He fell back to 11th place after running right near the front for a lot of the night. Adam Shane, he ended up one lap down in 12th position after late contact with Brendan Myers. Steve Hilbert, he comes home in 13th place. Then we've got Alan Wanamaker in 14th. So our second place runner earlier in the race, unfortunately, was unable to recover from that spin with any kind of improvement. Then we go back to Tom Hilbert and Marino Valente, who didn't finish the race, unfortunately, 41 laps down. And then we've also got Kyle Forrester, who ends up in the 17th spot.
And if you're a Steve Hilbert fan, I got double good news for you. First of all, he beat his little brother, Tom, who finished in 15th position. But with Steve coming home in 13th, he gets to start on the pole next week. So that'll be fun. Make sure you tune in for that. Always good to see the Chief out in front. With that said, we're going to get to talk to our race winner. It is Ruben Ortiz, known as the Quiet Man, but he'll have a lot to say tonight with this win. Ruben, the wins started coming for you a couple seasons ago, and now they're coming much more frequently. Congratulations on this one. I think it was good you didn't have to work so hard because that James Lowe guy was coming at the end.
Yeah, the last 10 laps of her was really tough. First 90, I was in conservative mode, and Carl was doing really good and turning good. And James caught me with about 10 to go, and I had to give it more than I wanted to. And I was lucky to hang on.
You know, you have a reputation of working through the field. You were the fastest in practice, and then when we saw you had the pole position, we said, well, this is going to be a good night for him. Pretty easy for you. I'm telling you right now, this race, you would not have wanted to have to come through the field. It was chaos going on behind you. They were racing hard. I don't know if you could see it out of your rearview mirror, but man, it was tough.
Yeah, it would have been tough coming from the back, and this is one of my favorite tracks. Maybe not my favorite, but I do love it. Reminds me I'm a local track and raced you a lot, and I love it, and it's just a fun track.
All right. I want an honest answer here. You can take a second to think about it. When Lowe shows up behind you and you got maybe, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 laps to hold him off, honestly, how confident were you that you were going to be able to do it? Or do you consider yourself lucky to win this one, or should you have won it?
Mm, I think it was. I kind of earned this one a little
Yeah.
bit, but I mean, he put the pressure on me at the end. I may have not could have held him off for another 10 laps, but it was fun.
It is always, you're a fan favorite. You're a broadcast booth favorite. Congratulations on the win. Get another one next week. We'll see you down the road.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and thank Lowell, and thank y'all up in the VGN booth for broadcasting, and thank y'all, and see y'all next week.
And again, what city are you in? Because there's some people out there that might have some electrical problems, and they may want to use Shively Electric. Where are you?
I'm in Ferrum, Virginia, but he's got offices in all over Central Virginia.
Okay, well, if you're smelling smoke, turn the lights off and give the Quiet Man sponsor a call. Hey, congratulations. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you, Sue.
All right. Ruben Ortiz, your race winner. Partner, I'm looking forward to this one. Who you got?
We got P2 finisher, runner-up, James Lowe. Not used to saying runner-up and James Lowe actually in the same sentence, because normally it's the P1, but he's driven from 9th place all the way through to second tonight. I'll probably need a few more laps to actually get that done, but we'll actually ask him about it. James, how did that one play out from your perspective?
I mean, with Lanier, you never know if you're even going to make it up there. It's there's just not a lot of horsepower to get up off the corner to get a run going before you got to turn again. So you never quite know that you're going to get up there. But once I got up there, I was really good. I just wasn't going to put Ruben in a bad spot there. He drove a great race and he probably deserved a win, and I wasn't going to do anything that compromised that. So if I would have had a run, I would have had a run, but I never could really get the run off to make it happen.
Speaking of generating runs, we saw some times earlier in the race where you were boxed in very much behind, two guys who may be side by side or something like that. And it really we we're talking at the time about how you're at the mercy of what those guys in front do. You can be the greatest driver in the world, but if you're stuck in there behind somebody and, who's maybe not getting off the corner as well as you might want, or maybe stacking up the inside lane a little bit, it makes it a little bit tricky. How do you deal with that when you find yourself sort of boxed in that way and you've really just got nowhere to go? What do you do? What's your thought process?
I mean, there's nothing you can really do. So I just conserve. I was just kind of riding, and eventually they would have figured it out, and which they did. And, we were able to work on trying to move forward again. But, at that point, especially that early in the race, there's no real point in try to be impatient and force something.
Yeah, certainly saw that there was a point where I believe there was Liston and it wasn't Wanamaker, it was Pearson. Liston and Pearson were in front of you, and they were running side by side. And noticed that while those guys obviously can't use all the road, you were sort of sitting in there behind, making sure you did use the full width of the track, and sort of, as you mentioned, it's sort of in conservation mode. Did you find that period sort of helped you out when you came to pass them later on?
Yeah, I mean, it probably definitely helped. In a perfect world, I wish I could have passed them both and got moving, and maybe we could have fought for a win. But yeah, you just kind of got to kind of ride there and see how it plays out.
All right. Well, a very good points night for you tonight. Obviously, I believe it just helps cement you there in that top spot, especially with Davis missing the night tonight. So, what are I think we're moving into the latter half of the season now. What is, I guess, leading the points as you are, your focus has got to be on that championship. But how are you feeling about that at the moment? I imagine pretty good.
Yeah, with the tracks coming up, I'm feeling a lot better than the last 2 weeks. Oswego and Lanier are not the greatest tracks for me. So to come out with top three finishes in both is a bonus. And now we're going to go try to win races. The championship is what it is. However it shakes out, it shakes out. But we're here to win, so that's what we're going to try to do.
Fantastic. Well, there he is, guys. Second place finisher, 99, James Lowe.
And I'd also like to thank my Aunt Mary Alice for watching, Lowell for putting all this on, you guys for broadcasting, and can't wait to go back and hear you in the booth head.
Thanks a lot, mate. Hopefully, I figured people were going to love me like they love Lee Diffie, or hate me like they hate Lee Diffie. So, well, I guess we'll just see how that turns out. But yeah. Anyway, mate. Hope you enjoy watching it back. That's what we're here for at the end of the day.
Appreciate it, guys.
Oh, my partner was reading my mind on that one. Great Lee Diffie reference. Okay, that's just about it for us. We're not tonight as he's not here, but he had a good run in third position. Hey, look on the screen. It's a little sparse up there. We know that you love VGN and you love watching us, but you also have a life to live. So this week is an opportunity for you to go ahead, be romantic with the wife, go out, play catch with the kids, walk the dog. You know what? Shake it up a little bit. Dealer's choice. Go ahead and play catch with the wife and walk the kids and be romantic with the dog, however you want to do it. But you can see the broadcast coming up, only a few of them. Next time we're on is going to be next Saturday, or of course, if you're my partner, it's going to be Sunday afternoon in Australia. So check those things out. Nashville's coming up. We got one in Phoenix. It's going to be good. All those broadcasts, future and past ones, are all a production of the Virtual Grip Network. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. I sure did enjoy working with my partner here tonight, Ed Foster. He was wonderful at it. Well done, Ed. Until next time, have fun storming the castle.